Welcome to another episode of Shelf Life Book Reviews Online. Thank you once again for coming on board to watch my videos. Hopefully you'll find them informative when you make your book buying purchases. And this week out, two nonfiction books for your perusal, and both very highly recommended, both very, very different books. The first book is The Boy in the Woods, A True Story of Survival During the Second World War by Maxwell Smart. This is published by HarperCollins and it retails for $21.99. There have been countless books written about the Second World War, and you almost think, is there anything else that hasn't been said that should be said or has been said over and over again? Well, this is another perspective of the war from someone who survived the war. A young Jewish boy, his name was Oziak Fromm, who became Maxwell Smart. He was growing up during the Second World War, and war was starting. It was raging around his area, and he watched his mother and father murdered by the Germans or other countries' troops. And just before his mother died, she begged him, she said, go out and save yourself. And so he was a boy, he was an orphan now, he was alone. So he went through the Polish woods, and all around him, the Ukrainian troops were killing Jews in the woods. So he dug holes to hide from them. It became a life and death experience for this little boy. And in the woods, he met another young boy. His name was Yannick Arenberg, and they formed a very strong bond. It was like the two of them against the world, really. And they used everything within their means to escape detection from the soldiers that were storming through the Polish woods. And they stole food from farmers' fields, really to survive. And there were several days they went without food. In fact, there was a farmer that befriended them and helped them seek refuge. Then one day they were in the woods, they heard gunfire, and they hid, of course. And when the troops left, they found the bodies of 7 people. And also they saw across the river a woman in the river, and they heard cries, and they thought maybe she was alive. Like, it was bitter cold. So they knew they could die, by going through the river in the extreme cold. But still they went there, and they found a woman who was dead. And in her arms, she clutched a baby. The baby was still alive. So they really didn't know what to do. They took the baby to the farmer, and they, saved the baby's life, really. And Maxwell found that his friend Yannick had gotten an infection, and unfortunately Yannick died. So Maxwell thought it was time to leave, so he went through the woods. He was all by himself now, and he survived, as the story tells. And it is very interesting. He came to Canada after the war ended, and he found that Canadians were not that friendly toward Jews after the Second World War. But this is his story. He tells the tale of survival, his memories of, growing up in the war, escaping the troops, and he eventually found out who the baby was. It grew up to be Tova Burkai, and he traced her. She was close to 80, and she was in Haifa. And so he wanted to go and have a reunion with her. She was in a nursing home, and unfortunately she had Alzheimer's. She really didn't say much. She didn't respond, but he went there and he told her that he was one of the 2 who found her in the woods that day, clutched in her dead mother's arms. So it's quite a story, let's put it that way. And I'm sure for those who are prone to bouts of misty eyes, this will definitely cause that, so have some tissues handy. The Boy in the Woods is definitely a highly recommended book. I know it's another war book, but it's a different kind of story, one that will stay with you for a long time after you close the last page. And the second book of note, and a much different one, is Fans, How Watching Sports Makes Us Happier, Healthier, and More Understanding by Larry Olmsted. This is published by Algonquin Books of Chapel Hill, and it retails for $32.95. They call those who love sports fans, which is really short for fanatic. And there are a lot of fanatical fans who watch games. They live and die by their teams. And this book looks at fans. It looks at studies that were made, university studies, and the whole fan experience. There are people out there, as the author tells, with superstitions. Some will eat grapefruit on the day their team's playing, so they know their team will win. If there's another one if they wear a jersey, the team jersey, and their team is losing at halftime, they take the jersey off. And there are other superstitions, such as he mentions one, a man who has sex with his wife wearing a jersey and one yellow and one blue sock before the game. And if he wears this, then his team will definitely win. So it's interesting in spots. It's amusing because of the extremes. Actually, players on teams have a lot of their own superstitions too, and they won't do certain things on the game day. They won't, eat certain foods too. So this really looks at fans and how we are obsessed with our sports. They mentioned that after the 9/11 attacks, everything shut down for about a week. Sports was one of the first venues to come back, and it really rallied people about a week after the devastation, and fans came back to the game and they found comfort in the sports being played again. There are two interesting studies from the University of Chicago. One of them found that turning the TV to a game is actually a workout for the brain, and it stimulates the brain. You just don't sit there. You think about the sport. You think about what's going on in the field. The second study found that watching a hockey game is closer to actually playing the game than previously thought. That watching it makes you feel like you're on the ice and you're with the players and you're skating and you're shooting the puck. So it's absolutely, this is more a psychological look at fans. Of course, it talks about fan obsession that turns to violence. So there have been a lot of soccer violence in the United Kingdom. There's a lot of fans that really become more than fanatical. They become obsessed with the sport, and if their team loses and the other team's winning, they will take their frustrations out on the other team's spectators. So it's really an interesting phenomenon. And Larry Olmsted looks at this book from all angles, from the good and the bad of being a fanatical fan. And so it's if you like sports and you like a different kind of, this is not about your favorite teams. This is about the obsession with sports and how we relate to the teams and the players. So those are the two books, very, very different. The Boy in the Woods and Fans, both highly recommended. So hopefully when you're out there at the bookstore, you will take a look at these books and very seriously consider purchasing them. So I welcome your comments about my comments as well too. So anyways, as always, I thank you for watching my video. Please stay safe, stay sane, stay social distancing, and stay tuned for more, because there's a lot more book reviews to come. So thanks again, and we'll talk real soon. Bye for now.